The political arena in the United States has erupted into one of the most dramatic confrontations in recent memory as former President Donald Trump found himself locked in a fierce clash with Congress after lawmakers voted overwhelmingly to strike down a series of executive orders they labeled unlawful. What followed was a storm of emotion, political maneuvering, and public uproar that unfolded like a real-world drama. The moment the announcement reached Trump, the atmosphere inside his residence shifted instantly. According to insiders, he had been prepared for debate, maybe even resistance, but not the swift and decisive rejection that arrived with the congressional vote. The news flashed across television screens, commentators dissected every detail, and Trump paced across the room with a fury that advisors had not seen in months. In his view, these orders were essential, corrective, and well within his authority. In Congress' view, they crossed legal boundaries and threatened the balance of power. As the reality set in, Trump slammed a stack of documents onto the table, declaring the vote an insult to executive authority. His advisors watched quietly, knowing that any attempt to calm him would only fuel his anger further. Meanwhile, the media was already ablaze with breaking news banners announcing the congressional takedown of the executive measures. Reporters outside the Capitol recounted how lawmakers from both parties had united to block what they described as federal overreach. It was a rare moment of bipartisan agreement, and one that instantly reshaped the national conversation, inside Congress. The atmosphere had been electric long before the vote. Lawmakers lined up to speak their minds, some arguing passionately about constitutional limits, while others emphasized the long-term need to prevent any president past, present, or future from bypassing established legal processes. When the final vote tally appeared, applause erupted from those who supported the decision, while others immediately began preparing their public statements. The symbolism of Congress exercising its authority with such clarity was not lost on anyone, especially Trump, back at his residence. Trump watched the congressional speeches replayed on multiple channels at once. Each sentence criticizing the legality of his actions seemed to strike him personally. His phone buzzed relentlessly with calls from allies, messages of outrage from supporters, and warnings from advisors urging restraint. Instead, he decided to respond publicly, releasing a sharply worded statement that blasted Congress for what he called a politically motivated attack. The reaction online was instant and explosive. Social media fractured into two camps, one echoing Trump's anger and the other cheering Congress for standing firm. Comment sections, hashtags, and livestream panels lit up with arguments and emotional debates. Analysts speculated that this confrontation could mark a turning point in Trump's political strategy, especially with his base watching closely. As night fell, the situation only intensified. News studios across the country hosted heated discussions, replaying footage of Trump's reaction alongside clips of lawmakers defending the vote. Some commentators framed the conflict as a necessary reminder that no leader is above constitutional limits. Others argued that Congress had gone too far in trying to restrain an executive they never fully supported in the first place. Pollsters scrambled to gauge public sentiment as viewers waited to see whether Trump would escalate the situation. Political observers noted that Trump thrives during moments of high tension, and this incident gave him exactly the environment he knows how to dominate: controversy, attention, and conflict. Early the next morning, the Capitol grounds were flooded with protesters from both sides. Flags waved in the air, megaphones blared slogans, and journalists raced between groups to capture interviews. Some citizens praised Congress for defending the Constitution, while others accused lawmakers of targeting Trump out of fear of his influence. The divide was unmistakable, and emotions ran high. Inside the Capitol, congressional leaders held a closed-door meeting to prepare for any fallout. Several lawmakers expressed readiness for potential legal battles, reinforcing their belief that the vote was not about politics, but about protecting democratic boundaries. Others worried that the confrontation might escalate into months of turmoil, including challenges in the courts, public protests, and relentless online warfare. Trump, meanwhile, began strategizing for his next move. Though anger was still visible in his expression, he was already thinking several steps ahead. He reviewed statements, planned future appearances, and considered rally locations where he could address supporters directly. Advisors close to him said that while the rejection had struck a nerve, it had also ignited a familiar determination. If Congress thought this vote would silence him, it had done the opposite. Behind the scenes, Trump's media team assembled footage, drafted speeches, and prepared messaging designed to turn the congressional decision into a rallying cry. Their goal was simple: frame the incident as proof that political elites were united against him, and therefore united against his supporters. In the digital world, influencers and political commentators aligned with Trump amplified this message across platforms. Short clips of the congressional vote juxtaposed with Trump's statement spread rapidly. Within hours, millions of viewers had weighed in, cementing the incident as one of the most talked about political moments of the year. Neutral observers called it a constitutional showdown. Supporters called it a betrayal. Critics called it accountability. Regardless of perspective, no one denied the magnitude of the clash. By evening, speeches from both sides filled the internet. Congress released a formal explanation of its decision, stressing that the blocked orders violated established legal standards and threatened institutional checks and balances. Trump responded with a fiery video message accusing Congress of undermining the will of the people. He promised that the fight was not over, that he would not back down, and that he would expose what he called a coordinated effort to limit his power. The video soared across social media within minutes, generating millions of views and thousands of comments. Political analysts noted that Trump was positioning himself for a larger comeback, using the congressional rejection as fuel rather than defeat. The entire nation now found itself pulled into the narrative, supporters emboldened, critics energized, and undecided viewers glued to the unfolding drama. In the end, the confrontation did more than simply erase a set of executive actions. It ignited a new chapter in America's ongoing struggle over authority, legality, and political identity. Congress had spoken with unusual unity, sending a clear message about limits to executive power. Trump had responded with fury and determination, refusing to let the vote define him. And the public, as always, was left to navigate the storm, watching a clash of institutions, personalities, and principles that promised to shape the months ahead.